Ladies and gents, welcome back to TakeOff Sports Talk. It's your host, SmallwoodWorldWide. We're back again with another video. Once again, show some love to the Goodman brothers here, being gracious enough to come through and grace us with their presence. We got Aji, we got Good, we got T. Let's jump into today's episode. So our topical matter is all about elite scammers, right? So when you think about scammers, normally we talk about players underperforming in key situations, talk about people being taken advantage of, but rarely do we talk about the system, right? What system, you may ask? The same system that made you believe that Serena Williams and Maria Sharapova had a rivalry, right? When actuality, out of 23 matches, Serena won 20 of them. Sharapova won 3. When you take around and look at more of the elite scams that go on out here, I don't know. Let's talk about name, image, likeness. Players now being able to become millionaires and make millions off of their name. Instead of the university, think about Reggie Bush. Think about all the millions they sold in popcorn, nachos, parking, the number 5 jersey. Reggie Bush gets a little bit of a house for his mom. They want to take back the Heisman. Again, more elite scams out there. And if that's not enough for you, let's think about America's coach, Coach K, right? Let's think about Coach K telling a player and his mom that he's fucking up our program. Now, we won't name a name. You could do the research. It's out there. And Coach K doesn't deny it, although he tried to deny using the language. Once again, elite scam. Player does what's best for them. It's a problem. System does what's best for them. This is the way things work. So with that being said, with the NBA playoffs in tow, let's talk about last night's game and we'll dive into it from there. We had the opportunity to watch the Minnesota Timberwolves unfortunately get eliminated, and we saw some players perform, some underperform. What are your thoughts here, folks, as you kind of jump in and look at some of the scams that took place there? Aj, I'm going to start with you. What's going on with Karl Anthony Towns?
Well, he's an immensely talented player. He played, I would say overall, he played pretty well considering the last time he was in the playoffs, he kind of threw up a dud, so to speak. But I thought that he comported himself very well. But I will say that I didn't like, he needs to just get stronger in the post, have a stronger base. Flops around like way too much in terms of like when he tries to get the ball, he gets moved way too easily. But he's a fantastic shooter. He's a good player. Ant-Man, has us really looking towards the future being great, but we probably gotta get rid of the rat this season. I don't the rat being D'Angelo Russell. I don't really care too much for Pat Bev in terms of being a basketball player. Of course, I don't know him as a person, but he was good for the Timberwolves. He was good for the Timberwolves this year. They played a little bit more defense. They need to find somebody who is going to be that post presence in the offseason. And they need to find somebody who's a true point guard in the offseason. I see nothing but good things coming forward if they continue on this trajectory. So, and the biggest scam that I can think of off the top of my head is actually Coach K's hair still being black after
75 years. It's just jet black. No changes whatsoever.
Since his hair has not changed since they beat the Fab Five, and I just don't believe it.
Got that straight Giuliani.
Exactly.
That's beyond Beijing. That's Rome. That's Shanghai. I don't know what that is. Buy another one, you rich mother. Yeah, that's my take on last night's game and elite scammers, so to speak.
Indeed, I agree with you. Listen, I don't think that Cat is an elite scammer, but I think he's kind of infringing on that territory a bit, right? So every time it's a big game in the playoffs, coming up a little bit short. Then after the game, he's blowing kisses to the crowd. He's thanking them and stuff like they just lost in game 7 of the finals. And it's like, listen, when the game is on the line, we want to see Cat down in the post. I know you got something to say there.
Hey,
about
man,
that.
No, I'm just saying, like, for Cat, for Minnesota, let's be fair, man. That's like the third best team they've ever put out in their history. So
it's true.
Him blowing kisses and them celebrating the play-in victory. I was here for all of that. I was here for the ooh, you know what I mean? I was here for all
that. You know what I wasn't here for though?
What?
The multiple games of blown leads in the fourth quarter. That's what I wasn't here for. Listen, it's close to scam territory. It is. It's just G. What you got to say?
Nothing. That's young stuff, man. Like I felt like the Grizzlies were the Wolves.
That all young stuff. The team they were playing was just as young.
Yeah, but they had been in the playoffs a couple of years, and the T-Wolves have not been. They don't know how to close games yet, and it's really that simple. Like they should have won the series 4-1, and instead they lost 4-2. So I mean, like it's really that simple. And they overachieved to me this year anyway. So I wasn't taking it too hard. I appreciated the fight that they showed because it was easily the best series of a very, very good first round. One of the best first rounds I've ever seen. And I live for the first round. The only thing I live for more other than the first round is the World Cup, man. It's like a Bon Jovi concert. You know what I mean?
Listen, World Cup coming this summer. Let's do it.
Slave Cup in Qatar. Anyway, I digress.
Most definitely. Any other thoughts on last night's game?
I got one thing to say. The Wolves, they are almost a legit team, like a really good team. They need one of two things. They either need to find a real life closer, or hold off until Anthony Edwards can become that guy because he's still young. He may have that in him in a year or two, or they need a real point guard leader type person on that floor. If you have a real point guard leader on that floor, you don't blow those leads. And if you have a closer, you don't lose those games. Period. Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know what's going on with other places. I'll be making some phone calls and making some trades. I'll be making some trades because I don't think they're gonna find what they're looking for in the draft.
They've been in search of a point guard forever. That's where that stupid Rubio Johnny Flynn thing all came up.
Ricky Rubio.
Look, man. Hey, this has all been a problem since Stephon Marbury left and started eating Vaseline until he became like the god in China.
Hey, listen, working in Minnesota might do that to you. I don't know, but listen, I digress.
Police will do it to you up there. That's for sure. All right. Well.
I didn't get a chance to see last night's game, but I saw the rest of the series. And I got to say, I mean, I like Ant-Man. I think he's unapologetically himself. Yeah. And I think that's what's missing from Cat. Like the Cat that I saw this year in the playoffs and stuff, maybe he's changing as a person or something. I don't know, but he needs to figure it out. And maybe if he actually has this anger and angst that he's, pretending to, maybe he'll get his butt down on the block like you guys want, and start pushing people around and stuff. But I think until that happens, they're going to continue to blow leads and they're going to continue to struggle. You gotta be anchored in who you are, right? And I feel about the Ant-Man, he's out there to do his thing. He gets in there, gets the mic in his face, and he says exactly, he's not hiding.
He's the best interview in the NBA.
He is. He's awesome. But with Cat, I'm confused. I'm a little bit confused about who he is. I mean, he seems like he's brought up well. It seems like a really nice young man and stuff. And then he starts acting kind of, I don't know what's going on with him. But whoever he is, he just needs to just be that and have that.
He's been in a weird space. His mom died, of course, from COVID. Yeah. Several of his family members died. He had a really tough bout with it. I'm not here to make excuses for him, but I mean, like I think that he's in a space where he didn't care about a lot of stuff until this kind of like this year happened. And then like, that's what that whole interview was like at the end of the game where he was like, they made me love basketball again kind of thing. That's why he was blowing kisses because it brought back a feeling that he kind of had died inside because his mom had died and all that stuff. And they kind of made him feel alive again. So that's kind of where the tough man, the I don't care, but you're really not that kind of guy type of thing that you saw. Yeah.
It felt like he was teetering on, is he going to transition to that? Is that is new fire being lit in him or what? But Yeah,
but you can't walk into it, you know what I mean? You gotta pick.
Be a halfway crook. I agree.
Exactly.
Yeah, because he's been like that.
Like that. Yeah.
This happened before his mom and all that stuff passed away. God rest his soul. This has been going on since the Jimmy Butler was there calling him soft. And I think that's why he's trying to, man up and act a little bit out of character because Jimmy Butler was bullying him.
Yeah.
For the past years that he was there, telling him he was bitch made. He needs to, get tougher.
It's funny to talk like that, man. I don't appreciate you talking about the Wolves like that, man. I'm talking about Cat like that. Like that's all I'm saying, Go Wolves.
Listen, the future's bright with A-Rod at the helm, right? What can go wrong? But no. Speaking of, people
They
being
need a
grounded in
point
who they
guard.
are.
They need a closer. They need one of the two, or
Most
both.
def. I think they get a point guard. They have a closer. I think Cat can close. I also think Ant-Man can close. I just think that they have to know their position.
I don't think they can, or else they would have.
No. I'm saying with the true point guard, orchestrating the offense. They look confused down the stretch.
Like I said, you need one of two of those things.
Right.
You either got to have somebody come in who can really close the game out, or get yourself a point guard who knows how to manage the game, or not try and disrespect John Morant and have him go in on you. You can probably do that. You can probably shut the hell up and leave John Morant alone.
They woke him up.
Then maybe he won't be putting you all on posters.
Whatever, man. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. No, because I think the Timberwolves can be summed up in that last play when they drew up a fantastic play to get Ant-Man the ball in the corner. This is the game before the last game. They drew up this great inbounds play. Ant-Man from the corner makes it, ties the game, and then he gambles on John Morant, which is like the last guy on the planet that you want to gamble against. He comes around, and it was still a difficult shot, but he's John Morant, so he's just going to take it with his left hand and do his little
unbelievable.
Yeah, and people were like, "Oh, we got a layup at the rim." I was like, "It wasn't just any kind of layup, but it was a layup at the rim." And it's just that was the series, like in a nutshell. You do all this great execution, and then it's like, "Oh, but John Morant." So,
and first of all, when it comes to John Morant,
come on,
I'd like to thank me for predicting this when it happened.
Wolves and 9.
Because when the draft came, I was like, people were like, Zion. I was like, Zion's gonna be dope. I was like, John Morant's gonna be that dude, though.
You did say that.
John's gonna be the guy.
You did.
John.
I'm gonna leave it at this. I'm gonna leave it at this. Zion averages 25 points, and they don't run plays for him. And I stop right there.
Okay, fair enough.
I take that.
Exactly.
Yo, whatever, man. I don't know, man. You over here talking all this good. Ooh, you know what I mean? The Wolves.
Yo, whatever we can agree on, all we do agree the Wolves' future is going to be very bright. This was one of the best playoff series I've seen in several years, especially for a first round series. So the best of luck to both teams going forward. Let's pivot here, right? So talking about being grounded in reality, I want to bring up our next segment, Revenge of the Nerds, right? So for all the folks who don't understand what that means, we're talking about the analytics people. Now, some people love analytics in sports. Some people like me feel like maybe it's ruining it a bit. Take you down a quick course of history. NFL, Super Bowl, Marshawn Lynch runs the ball for about 9.5 yards to the half-yard line. They then turn around and have who? Russell Wilson drop back to pass. Okay. After your running back, with 24 seconds left to go, who's probably going to get that touchdown in one or two plays. You have enough timeouts in case he doesn't. You throw the ball. Malcolm Butler picks it off. Pete Carroll throws his hands up. The collective NFL world loses their mind, right? Why was this happening? Because of analytics. Analytics said, hey, Pete Carroll, let me call you down from the offensive coordinator booth. There's less than 0% chance that people throw interceptions at this point in the game, at this point of the field, meaning the half-yard line. Now, would I have done it? No, because common sense says I have Marshawn Lynch back here, who just barreled through them, also got you back in the game the entire second half. What's another half yard, right? And the Patriots are pretty much deflated at this point. He throws a pick. Another case in point. Analytics is very popular in baseball. So, and I think the 2020 World Series, Tampa Bay Rays, they're facing elimination. One of their star pitchers, Snell, he's having a hell of a game, right? He struck out, I want to say, about 5 of the first 6 batters, threw about 73 pitches. He's on a roll. And you know how it is in baseball. If you're hot, you should always stick with the hot hand. What did they do? Against the manager's wishes, he was told to pull him because analytics says, hey, pitchers who face a batter a third time in the game have less than a certain percentage of luck of being successful against them. They bring in a reliever. The reliever, of course, blows the game. Thus, the World Series, Tampa Bay loses. The rest is history. The world was on fire. So what are your thoughts on analytics in sports? Should we be listening to analytics guys or gals? Or should we, go with folks who just are minds of the sport?
I can go first.
Yeah, go ahead. Tackle that.
I think ruin is a strong word, so I'm not going to go that far. But I will say this from my perspective. When it comes to analytics, it's a useful tool, it can be, The problem with it, from where I sit, is that it makes it so that everybody, all teams, behave the same way, right? Mm-hmm. And if everybody has the same identity, that no longer makes the sport as interesting. You know, back before analytics was as popular as it is now, because it's always been used to some degree, right? Yeah. Now, you know, with all the data science tools out there, they just have so much data they can, you know, really go deep. You know, I don't know how many layers deep these statistics go, but I know it's, you know, 7 way down. But you know, it used to be that teams kind of had a personality. You know, like this team chooses to try to win this way, and this team is good at that, and this is what they try to do to win. Mm-hmm. But if everyone is operating from the same data, then everybody comes to the same conclusion, right? Which means that every team looks the same, and I am not a fan of that, right? I follow sports for the intrigue, for the drama. There's not as much drama if everybody's going to do the same thing. You know, if I can just play a video game for that, then if that's the case, you know, I don't need to see the humans out there doing it, because that's kind of what they're being reduced to as robots, right? Well, I think I should pitch this ball. Oh no, I'm out. I mean, it just doesn't. That's not my idea of entertainment. You know, I mean, it should be about winning. It should be about, you know, finding out what you're good at, and you know, kind of molding your game around that, and having a team revolve around that person's talent, right? Whoever the you know, the leaders of that team are, as opposed to, okay, this is how the computer says that we should play, so let's just all try to get to this place. And that's how I feel about it.
So I can sum up my feelings about analytics in one simple example, and that is the Golden State Warriors. So for years and years, basketball is played where you throw it down. It's a tall man's game. You throw it down to the center, get as close to the basket as you possibly can, and you get a high percentage shot. That's why centers are the all-time leaders in scores. That's why people like Will Chamberlain and Shaquille O'Neal and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar are considered the GOATs, right? Along comes this guy, Steph Curry, and he starts shooting from the parking lot, just pulling up from everywhere, right? And so is Clay, because they come to the conclusion, they say, you know what? 3 is more than 2. And I would rather you shoot a 3. If you can shoot a 3 at 33%, and you shooting these other 2s at 50%, then you're losing points, right? So everybody says, oh, we're losing points if we do that. The problem with this is the same problem that I have with analytics, and that is you're not all Steph Curry. You're not all Klay Thompson.
Exactly.
You need to play to the strengths of whatever your team. That's why the Grizzlies, the old school Grizzlies back in the day, got further than they should have, because they were grit and grind, right? They still use Zebo and Gasol because they were like, this is the strength that we have this is the advantage we have over teams, and they weren't shying away from using it. And that doesn't mean you don't use analytics, but what you do need to recognize is what your personnel is. It's kind of like when you play pickup basketball and you're running down on a break, and let's say that you have a teammate and you throw a pass and that person doesn't cut and the ball just sails off into the middle of nowhere, and the other people who don't know what's going on will look at you like, man, that's a bad pass. The people who know what's going on will walk by you and say the same thing every time. Hey, man, you know he ain't ready for that. You know your person ain't ready for that, because they know what you were trying to do, and they know what the other person should have done, but they weren't heady enough to do it. That's Steph Curry and Klay Thompson, man. Those guys are literally the greatest shooters of all time. And for you to base your entire draft strategy and all this other stuff around trying to get 2 of those guys, you're not going to be able to find them. So analytics is a tool, like TJ said, it's a tool in a toolbox, but it ain't the whole. I screwed up that analogy. It doesn't matter. Point is that it's not the whole thing. You should do something else with it, okay? And that's what I say.
You should.
Whence I come from, sucker.
See, I say the same thing as you, except that mine's much easier. Analytics is a game of averages, and it works for average players. It don't account for special.
Interesting.
Plain and simple. Some people you can use the analytics on. Some people you got to recognize who you're dealing with. You know what I'm saying? Like you were saying with Steph and Clay. There's certain guys where the eye test is what matters. Now, statistically, if you're going by analytics and everything else, there should be no Michael Jordan. He shouldn't have. There's no way he should have been able to do all that based on the averages of guys that are his height, size, and everything else
Yeah.
that played this game before him.
Absolutely.
Before him, there was his name, what, Dr. J? And it still wasn't quite the same. So analytics, it works out. That's good for the second team. For the guys coming off the bench, analytics works. For the guys that are starting and the special players that are starting, you can throw all the analytics out the window. Just throw them out the window. Because you got guys like a guy like Brett Favre. You don't know what you're going to get from Brett Favre when he was playing.
Nope.
Brett Favre could throw 7 touchdowns or 7 interceptions. You have no idea. There's no way to average that out.
You're going to regret it.
No, right.
Okay, but if you use a guy like Kirk Cousins, you can kind of the average. You can kind of adjust the
Kirk Cousins is the avatar for analytics.
You're going 9-6 or 6-9 every season.
Yep.
He's the Jeff Fisher of quarterbacks.
Very
Like I said, analytics work for him. They don't work for Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers. It doesn't. Everything is skewed. You're saying because they're different and elite. So like I said, it works for guys that ain't that aren't special. Analytics it's for average people at the sport. It's not for the elite players. And if you try and coach the elite players based on analytics, then you end up with a New Jersey's Nets situation. Or
you end up with James Harden.
A Brooklyn Nets situation.
You remember James Harden went 7 for 27 with the Rockets because of analytics. They had them keep jacking up threes, and they blew that lead. That was their best chance at a championship, right?
Yeah.
Everybody said, hey, this is the year Houston's going to take it. They had a 2-year stretch. And that 1 year, 7 for 27. And they still only lost by a handful of points, right? Imagine if they go to the hole, he gets the foul calls at the time that he's still getting, hits a couple free throws, game over. Exactly. You know, analytics ruins moments like that. And so for me, it's like, to TJ's point, it doesn't ruin the sport as a whole. But I feel like for me personally, when the game is on the line, you got to go with special. Like imagine Michael Jordan with the game on the line and Phil Jackson calls a timeout after he steals the ball from Karl Malone. And he's like, well, you know, analytics say in this situation that we need to reset and go through Tony Kukoc. It wouldn't go over well, right? What talent did, talent took the ball, went down the court, waved everybody off. He looked at the clock. He saw Byron Russell checking him, and talent took over and won the championship. Another three-peat, you know? Yeah. Analytics, I feel like it has a place to a degree, but I feel like analytics gives a job to a lot of people where it's like, okay, what's your superpower here? Like, is it an Excel spreadsheet that's telling you that, hey, every 10 shots that James Harden makes from three-pointer, you know, we should take 10 more? Like, how are you justifying this? It doesn't make sense because it's very position worthy, is very much chess worthy from an opponent standpoint. Harden's not going to shoot the same against Golden State as he would against like the Detroit Pistons of current times, right? He's going to light up one of those teams. The other team has greater team defense, and he's going to have to work a little bit harder for that. He's going to start doing the flop thing where he kicks. So it's like, if you talk about analytics as a whole, I think it should inform how you approach the strategy, but it should not be your whole, if that makes sense.
It does.
So,
yeah, go ahead.
Use it as a tool as opposed to a strategy. I agree. I think that's kind of right.
Use it for the guys coming off the bench.
So,
who's this Michael Jordan guy you guys keep bringing up?
Say what now?
Who's this Michael Jordan guy you guys keep bringing up? I never even heard of this guy.
He was in Creed.
Oh,
what are you talking about?
That's weird. That reminds me of when I went to my granddad's house and he had some balls signed by Baby Ruth. You know what I mean?
That candy bar?
Yeah. The
Y'all talking about.
I'm sorry.
No, you are good. Y'all talking about using, right? And a tool, steroids in sports. So I often go on YouTube and go down a rabbit hole, and I was looking back at the 98 home run chase between Sammy Sosa and one of the Bash brothers, Mark McGwire, right? Again, they knew he was juicing. They were feeding him these pitches, and it was considered one of the best moments in baseball that was fueled by steroids, allegedly, right? So when you take that into
that one. Nothing alleged. That shit is.
You mean his arms were naturally that way? No. After that home run season, they put the ban on steroids, et cetera, et cetera. Do you feel that steroids should be allowed in sports? Because from my perspective, if you're special, you're special. Steroids is not going to make, your bench player, number 15 coming off the bench in basketball, become Michael Jordan, It's only going to enhance what's there and or help protect him from an injury standpoint. What are your thoughts on sports, steroids, and the two intersecting?
There he goes with that guy, Michael Jordan. So I just
he's an actor.
It's just in Creed. I mean, I thought the series was good too, but I mean, no, but
Black Rocky.
That's right, Chocolate Rocky. No, but
there you go.
I think I'll say this: like, I don't agree with the idea of steroids because I like the idea of fair play. The only time where I will ignore that is if it's obvious that the best person can't win because the rest of the field is cheating. Like, you take that. There was a track and field Olympics where they had to like re-give all the medals because they couldn't find someone who didn't test positive for steroids until like 5th place. Like that's a situation where I'm like, well, everybody should just use that if you're gonna do that. I mean, like if everybody's using it, everybody's using. But whatever makes the playing field most even is what I'm here for. But if it makes you turn as pale as Sammy Sosa did, then I'm against it. Outright.
That's what
I mean, does it even
he was taking Michael Jackson.
Nothing wrong. There I go.
I can't call him Sammy Sosa anymore. He's just Sam Sosa. He's just Sam.
He's Sam. He turned into Sam.
He turned into Sam Sosa.
Sosa.
Sam Soso. I don't know what's going on here. He's walking around looking like Susie Orman.
That nigga looks like a wad of chewing gum now. I've never seen that couple. I don't know what race he is. I don't know what he did to himself.
Baseball, baby.
Yeah. He looks like
the Martian in the movies.
Yeah, man.
Like a piece of Hubba Bubba someone just dropped in a shag carpet. He just looks horrible, son.
I mean, he used so many steroids, he forgot how to speak English in front of Congress. Like, that's crazy.
That's huge. Listen, I think steroids have a place, right? So would I use them personally if I was an athlete? No, right? But when I look at it, if an athlete feels it's going to make them better, let's look at it from a perspective of Lance Armstrong. He got busted performance enhancing, right? Now, look how many times he won. We don't know how it helped because a lot of the people riding against him, they also took steroids. They did not win the Tour de France as many times as he did. They didn't come close. Right. So I think that should it be banned in sports? I don't know. What is the effect that it has on it? Is it Manny Pacquiao effect where he's getting punched by old buddy in the face a million times and he's still coming forward, which is not normal? And then he catches like a short punch.
Wait a second. Are you throwing out Manny slander right here on TakeOff, man?
Now that one you can say allegedly.
Allegedly.
That's tough, niggas, there was nothing alleged about that. Congress got involved. They
yes, they did.
I don't know about Manny. I know he's been accused. I don't know if he actually did it.
Everybody knows back acne is normal.
Especially for boxers.
Yeah.
He took a huge nap on that one punch. I think it was Margarito. He's like, that wasn't even my best punch. Why does he sleep? Hey man, wake up. Like, you know why he sleep. You know what he ate before he got into the ring. He's sitting there getting punched in the face like Mike Tyson punch out. He's still coming forward like, hey, I feel a thing.
He's Little Mac, man. He's the real life Little Mac.
Talk about Pac-Man.
I'm telling you.
Hey, what he did to Margarito, boy. Oof.
Yeah.
That was justice.
That hole in his face.
Yeah, that was justice, though.
It was nuts.
I agree. He was a cheater, too.
Yeah.
We
already know what he did to Cotto, man. It was justice.
Yeah, exactly. Old plaster of Paris, Margarito. That's him.
And Cotto still went 12. That's crazy. That's insane, man.
Yeah.
That's insane.
The scams, man. I don't know. I think steroids in sports, if it's something that doesn't harm the integrity of the performance, which for most points it doesn't, maybe help people heal faster, things like that, sure, let them go for it. It's their body. Let them make that choice.
You know, like that's a funny thing because people were saying like stuff like when Tiger Woods got his eyes corrected, they were like, isn't that a steroid? You know, they were just anything to guess to gain an advantage. I'm just saying.
That's a nigga trying to see when he drives.
Come on, man. Yo, you can't use that with Tiger Woods, though, Greg.
He said what?
Copacabana lesion.
You can't use that with Tiger Woods.
Oh, sorry, my bad.
You don't wreck twice. You're gonna regret it.
Yo. Soon, yeah.
Like I said, imagine if he wouldn't have got his eyes fixed.
Listen.
Jeez. Yeah, made odd leave, man.
Yeah.
So, Twan, what were you saying?
What happened?
I was saying, what was the rest of your thought about steroids, or were you?
So I mean, I feel like if it's not going to change the way somebody actually plays the game, right? It's not turning them into the T-1000 Terminator where they're just going to make 1,000 threes in a row or nothing. If it's like growth hormones that are helping them regenerate cells, they hope their knees get better or back or whatever. I'm here for it, you know. If you're talking about something that changes their ability to actually perform, which none of the steroids out there are doing for most sports, from what I can tell, again, allegedly, I don't see the problem with it, you know. To each their own with that. Would I use it? No. I think you're better off going out there, and it's been proven over time. Top athletes with proper care and proper treatment from their physicians of the team, you'll still perform at an optimal level. Steroids is kind of a choice. I mean, think about how many bodybuilders or football players that, you know, inject with whatever. And it's just like, you don't see them become Lawrence Taylor. It doesn't happen. They still line up against the SEC and come up short, but I'll leave that name out of this. But here we go.
Yeah, I think like any other substance that athletes take, if it's something that is, you know, that there's governance on, then maybe it's not such a terrible thing, right? I don't know how much of it is going to cause long-term harm or you know, damage the body or the brain or whatever. But if it's not to that point, it seems to me like most other substances is something that could be regulated somehow by, you know, whoever oversees the sports agency, you know, especially if it has, you know, properties to help people heal faster and stuff like that. It just, like anything else, you don't want them to go overboard on it, like, and turn them into, would you say, Greg, into a piece of Hubba Bubba, right? You don't want it to go that far.
Sammy Sosa, Sam
Sosa.
Yeah, but I don't. The people that have been busted with it and that have had, I guess, what might be classified as significant improvements from it. You know, I don't know the ratio of what they were taking versus the rest of the field who was also doping that wasn't able to perform at that level. So I don't know. I guess generally speaking, my feeling is if it's something that can be regulated, if it's something that's not going to hurt the athletes, because they shoot them up with all kinds of stuff so they can get out there, right? And those things are probably not good. Toradol. Yeah, Toradol is one of them. That's a big one. So if a metered, you know, a little bit of steroids to help you with healing, or maybe even give you an edge physiologically for your personal performance, you know,
it's easy. Just send a text.
It's needed.
Hey, they do it every day for free. Call GNC. Look at Frank Thomas. Hey, I'm 40 years old. Look at me.
Hey, you know what? Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Were you going there?
No, you got it. And she'll love it too. That's what I was. But I just found it funny how indignant he was when the guy was like, "Well, how do you get it?" He was like, "It's easy." The text. It's like, yo, you gotta be mad, Frank. You gotta tell me what the number is. Like, you don't have to yell at me.
You know, that.
Your body.
Underrated part of some of those commercials is this dude's girlfriend or wife, whatever, being like, "Oh, did you see Frank? What is he on?" Like, whoa, like that.
Yeah.
Frank looking back like,
yeah. My man, one of my man's on one of those commercials. One of my man's wife is looking at Frank like hubba. It's like, yo, that's
what I'm saying.
Real disrespectful, my G.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
so yo, before we before we transition into our final topic, I got to throw a bonus topic out here, right? So we were told recently that Kyrie Irving and KD, Kevin Durant were two of the most skilled players in history. I believe this came out of T-Mac's mouth, right? Again, how do we define skilled versus dominant versus championships versus no finals appearances? I don't know. I think in KD and Kyrie's time together, everybody expected a chip at this point, or at least a finals appearance. I don't think we've gotten either. Would you describe them as elite scammers from an underachieving perspective? What are your thoughts there?
You said what now? Would you describe them as what?
Elite scammers.
Elite scammers from an underachieving perspective. Oh yeah.
I wouldn't say they scam. Well, no. Kyrie scammed.
I haven't
Scammed out. I'm sorry,
talk it,
man.
baby.
Look, the statement that Tracy McGrady said was not exactly wrong. They are two of them. I can't think of two dudes that are better offensive weapons that have been on the same team ever. Maybe you could throw in Magic and Kareem, maybe Kobe and Shaq, Dwayne Wade and LeBron, and you can't do Jordan and Pippen because Pippen wasn't on that level of scoring. He was just great everywhere else. He was not on that level of scoring. However, had Kyrie Irving did his actual job and played in all the games, or most of the games, I don't think we see them lose to the Celtics. I don't think that happens. I think they have enough chemistry and they've worked out enough ways. Okay, wait a minute. Maybe they lose. They don't get swept.
Fair,
they don't get swept.
Yeah.
Give you that.
You know what? No,
So,
they don't even play the Celtics. They don't even end up playing the Celtics.
There you go.
Because
but if they play
at that point. Point is, if Kyrie Irving swallowed his pride,
oh boy,
and wasn't being ridiculous for the last 2 years, I think they have a much better run. This because I can't blame Kevin Durant. The only thing I can blame on Kevin Durant is not being on Kyrie Irving's ass more. That's the only thing I can say about Kevin Durant.
Crazy.
Kevin Durant balled out and played his heart out. Even the game where he only put up 11 shots, he was clearly frustrated and rattled. That's the only game I can say where Kevin just looked like he wasn't involved. Like he just didn't care.
Kevin Durant played like trash this series.
But
did he really play like trash?
He's allowed to play like trash because he's had multiple. He's the best player in the league at this point. But
yeah, I'm not saying he's not bad.
No.
I'm saying that's the only game where it looked like he wasn't.
He was trash the entire series.
You got to be more aggressive, Kevin. Like that's the one where it looked like that.
Greg, he was so bad, I thought he was throwing games. And then I remembered how much money he makes. And I was like, that's not possible. I've never seen him drill. I've never seen him lose his handle twice in a game, let alone twice in back-to-back possessions. I mean, like, it's crazy.
Because that's the part of what I'm talking about with the elite scam, right? So I don't think KD is a scammer. I don't think Kyrie is.
No.
I think it's the system that's promoting that, hey, this version of being skilled is going to lead to championships. That's the scam. Because KD, he got clamped up. The
fact is that the Celtics was on his ass like back pockets.
That's my point.
Okay.
And it wasn't none of that Warriors team defense. Hold on, I got to cut for a second.
Yeah,
Jason Tatum blocked that man shot like 3-4 times in the game, back to back.
Kevin Durant never gets. Go ahead, TJ. I'm sorry. I
just want to throw something in there real quick, and I'll let you guys go back to what you're saying. So the scammer bit is interesting, and I'm going to throw both of them in there. And KD, it has nothing to do with his attitude about loving the game, or I'm sure he was tired from carrying them all this year, and Kyrie being doing whatever he was doing. But I heard a statement that Kevin Durant made about not really caring about winning anymore. He just cares about playing well. And when you get to that level, these guys, everybody there wants to win. And if you don't have that drive to win, you're not gonna.
Right.
Marcus Smart, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Horford, these guys want to win. I don't care how skilled you are. if they want to win more than you, they're probably going to win. So I'm going to have to put him in the scammer category, because it's like, look, man, if you don't have the hunger anymore,
True.
you don't get the hardware. That's just the way it is.
I don't know.
Me if you don't want to win.
Hunger.
Tell you that.
Well, see,
I like that.
I heard that he said that, and I don't know if that's what he
meant.
I think he was just having a pity party for himself, and he would try to. Well, you know what?
I mean, you want to have a pity party, you still lose. You still lose.
Yeah, this is true. This is true.
Yeah, you would say that. You're right.
I'll say
you're 100% right.
Look, and I have not defended Kevin Durant since he left Oklahoma City, but I will say this. I think what he meant by that was his focus was being just as good at basketball as he possibly could, and if that comes with wins, that comes with wins. However, they played so bad in this series, and Kyrie's attention span during the entirety of him being on the Nets has been atrocious. Like his entire attitude, and he has been scamming. I'm not saying what Ben Simmons is doing is a scam, but I will say this.
I'm saying it's a scam.
If he really has mental issues like that, the chances of him ever playing basketball again in the NBA are slim to none. Because it was like Jalen Rose actually said something that was interesting when he was at the game. He was at one of the games. He was like, prior to the game starting, Ben Simmons was out there before the people were in the arena. He was shooting. He was doing everything that a normal person would do. As people started coming in when he was doing his drills, Jalen Rose was like, watch this. And to one of his co-hosts, and he stopped shooting the ball. Like, because people were in there. I was like, when I heard that, I was like, it's a wrap for this dude. Like, I mean, like, and you gotta understand something. Ben Simmons made it this far, not being able to shoot, not being comfortable shooting other people. He's an all-star. He's an all-star in the NBA. That is insane how good this dude is to be able to, wow, what a musical. But I mean, like, it's just, you know, it's sad to see him. I just don't see him playing again. It's sad to see that be what it is. Mm-hmm. But Kyrie's, a lot of his wounds are self-inflicted. I will say that
his wounds are self-inflicted.
Yeah. And I will say
something else before you go on.
Okay.
The Brooklyn Nets have the worst back office I've ever seen in my entire life. Wow. You had a problem already that you could have traded away. Mm-hmm. Instead of trading away your problem, you trade away the other dude, and then you take on that other team's problem. They have multiplied their problems for no reason, for zero gain. If I was Kevin Durant, I quit. I quit on the ass.
Greg.
I go right back to Golden State.
Greg, Kevin Durant is the one Kevin Durant runs the franchise, dog. That's why they're making these moves. They kept Andre Drummond instead of Allen. Allen is an all-star in Cleveland.
Jared Allen's incredible. I don't know why they got.
Yeah, everyone said the same thing. They're like, why are they getting rid of the kid with the fro? And it's because he's cool with Andre Drummond. Kevin Durant is like, oh, well, I need Andre Drummond here. So they said, okay, we'll ship the kid out.
He's worried about his teammate, you know, who's hanging with him instead of winning.
That's what I'm saying.
Kevin Durant runs the Nets like George Bush ran his presidency.
I don't want to hear.
He's got other guys telling him what to do, and then he's doing it. These aren't Kevin Durant's ideas.
Dog, whose ideas are you think Steve Nash started to do that?
And he's like, oh, okay, we should do this, Kyrie. I'm with you, boss.
Dog.
That's what the hell's going on here.
Nah, man.
And the problem with the offense, too, you hear Kyrie often referred to, we don't need a coach. After getting swept, he says, oh, we're going to help manage the organization. I'm like, self-awareness is not a strong suit.
They aren't BSing. They are helping manage the group. That's why the team looks the way it looks. I don't even know if Steve Nash is able to call plays. It's like a Bon Jovi concert. Look, the point is that like
he had free tickets to the game. That's what it was. All right. He sat there. He walked the sideline with free tickets. That's what it was. He didn't coach.
And shout out to Steve Nash.
This isn't Kevin Durant. This is Kyrie Irving.
Let me
this is all 100% Kyrie Irving. All of this shit is his idea. Every last bit of it. All of it.
Kyrie is probably the most skilled person to ever play basketball. With that said, Kyrie is also
amazing.
Not a top 75 player of all time.
Nope.
He is not a winning player.
Nope.
And he's not a leader.
And those are aspects of basketball people forget about, right? So
that's all I'm saying. He's a fan. His best, his height, his best, the best that he can be was with somebody like LeBron, because LeBron can take all that other stuff and then all he has to do is go out there and cook people to death like he did.
Yep.
And he did that well, but he was mad because he wasn't given the products of the thing to be the man. Forgetting that, like, before LeBron showed up, them dudes was winning 21 games in Cleveland.
They went lottery every year with Kyrie. He went to Boston with a loaded team.
That's how they got Anthony Bennett.
Look at the Boston team they were on. The same Boston team that just swept you was your team, Kyrie. You said
sure
he was uncoachable. LeBron couldn't do this for you. He's not your dad, which we knew and all of that. Bam. He goes to Boston. He underachieves. He's walking through the arena with Sage. He's a distraction. Listen, incredibly skilled, yes. But he had a team that should have won multiple championships. They cooked him. Jaylen Brown cooked him every chance he got this series. People forget basketball is a two-way sport.
Kyrie is free-fried right now. They cooked his ass so much.
I don't know.
Let me tell you something right now, bro. I'm not going to say that Kyrie is stupid.
Don't do it.
Right.
I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is Kyrie says stupid things out loud. Okay? He may not be, he's not stupid, but when he says things that are stupid, he tells them to everyone. He does not mind saying stupid things to everyone. That don't mean he's stupid. It means he's just not ashamed of his when he is stupid. And I'm gonna need him to just settle down and do his job. Like that.
Yeah,
he's not that dude. He thinks he's one of these guys that is an elite player that can run a team and do all this. That is not him. He ain't Chris Paul. He ain't LeBron James. He ain't Michael Jordan. He's not one of these two. He's a guy.
Yeah.
Kevin Durant knows who he is. Kevin Durant is not a leader dude. Kevin Durant is the best dude on the team, so he can just ball. Everyone else,
he just wants to hoop.
Someone else can rile him up. Someone else can do that. He just balls. Kyrie is the same person, but he thinks he's the person that should be leading, and he's not. He's the queen on the chessboard. He ain't the king.
I'm going to say, if you're engaging in some kind of a, something competitive where you're going up against somebody else physically, it takes more than skills to win. You can be as skilled as you want, but if that other person's will to win is greater than yours, you've got a really, really tall hill to climb.
Unless you're just that much more, unless you're that much better.
Yeah, but we're talking about guys. I agree with you. But we're talking about guys that are already at the top. They're at the
exactly. That's the point I'm trying to make. Like,
yeah, no, you're right.
And I really, really, really want to beat the 12th man on the worst team in the NBA.
Yeah,
I don't care what I do. He's gonna destroy me.
I'm with you. I should have been more clear. Yes, that's true. I'm talking about people, the upper echelon.
Well, I know I was agreeing with you. I was saying unless your talent level is just that much farther ahead of somebody, and it's not the NBA.
Yeah,
I said the best guy and the worst guy. I mean, there's the level of difference in skill is pretty significant, but not significant enough where the first guy ain't got to try. You know what I'm saying?
I'll use.
But I think on the Nets,
go ahead,
I think in the Brooklyn Nets, Kyrie is both. I think he's the best guy. I think he's the most skilled player to have, but he's the worst guy because of all the things he lacks and the lack of self-awareness being chief among them. Even worse beyond the things he says is what he does. He torpedoes the team everywhere he goes. Look at Boston's record without him. Look at it with him. Look at Cleveland pre-LeBron returning from South Beach with Kyrie. Look at the record with him. Look at when Kyrie is bounced around and he's had the opportunity to lead. What does he do? He starts making these wild statements. He does everything but play basketball.
He's Kobe without the cachet.
I don't remember Kobe saying things outrageous like this.
Nah. Publicly? I don't think so.
Kobe is very intelligent. So yeah, no, he didn't think that the world was flat.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Oh, I thought you were. So I was like, wait, did he say something?
No. I was saying like Kobe.
Yeah.
Kobe had the ability to be a ruthless, had the ability to be a ruthless competitor and be a dick. He didn't care about making friends on a team necessarily.
He wanted to win.
He just wanted to win. That's right. That was his sole and only goal. But
that is it.
Kyrie wants to have that kind of shine and be that, but he's not that type of animal. Like Kobe's a different type.
That's what I said. He ain't that dude, man.
And that's why I feel like Kobe and Shaq is the most dominant, most skilled duo on the same team that we've ever witnessed.
Jordan and
I feel that way.
Yeah, Shaq
both ways, going both ways. Shaq on the Lakers.
I mean, Grant and Mark Eaton.
I mean, Mark Eaton was pretty tough, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were going to get Stockton Malone there for a second.
Yeah, Zip Malone.
Actually, you know what? That's another great duo. I mean,
they are.
They're a great duo. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't.
Clyde and Najul Nabi. I mean,
That's
Ali Abdel Nabi.
Ali Abdul Nabi. Clyde, you know.
Him and Clyde Drexler would have been the ones in a 2-on-2.
I mean, Magic and Kareem, you know.
Yeah, we mentioned.
You know, I just start throwing out random duos. I'm just trying to find.
You didn't even go Weston Chamberlain. I I mean, there's a lot of guys.
Elgin and West. Baylor and West.
Robertson and Kareem.
Robertson and Kareem. Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of skilled duos. Like, I guess what pisses me off more than anything is people forget about defense. Offense is spectacular. It looks amazing. The dribbling moves, we know Kyrie can dribble the leather off the ball. He does it every game, right? He's not the only one in history to do it. But Rodman, fantastic for rebounds, you know. Ben Wallace, fantastic on defense and the boards. Changed and altered franchise history for players, all right? Like, there's so many skilled players that when you start aligning duos and really look at it, is Kyrie and KD really the best? I don't know.
Offensive, yes. Offensive skill-wise, they're the best.
You take them over Shaq and Kobe.
So
if you had a series with the Brooklyn Nets, take the Brooklyn Nets.
No,
I would take Jordan and Pippen because they both were first team all defense.
As far as what they can do,
ridiculous.
What they can do.
Yeah, I'm talking. Look, we're talking about the all around, all the things they can do with the ball. Kevin Durant is a better shooter than Kobe Bryant.
No. 0-1
really?
Kobe?
Chris Mullin and Tim Hardaway. I mean, wow.
You could
0-1 Kobe?
Be 0-1 through 2000, whatever the hell. Kevin Durant's a better shooter than Kobe Bryant.
Thunder Dan Marley and Charles Barkley. Wow.
I only got one of those.
Yo, shout out to Dan Marley, yo.
I like Dan Marley, but
Ewing and Derek Harper. I mean, wow. Just random, yo. Just throwing out random. Just showing you I've been watching the NBA.
Scott Skiles and Dwight Howard. I don't know.
Scott Skiles. Oh, man.
Hey, yo, let's keep it real though. Scott Skiles was a decent point guard, man.
He was
great. 30th of the game.
He was all right. Yeah.
But David Robinson and Tim Duncan. I mean, there's lots of dudes. Larry Bird and McHale. I mean, there's lots of dudes you can put up there. But as far as being able to do everything offensively, jumper, handles, being able to create your own shot and all that other stuff, there's no two guys that have got more of that in them that have been on the team together.
LeBron James and Boobie Gibson would like a word.
Who was stopping Shaq down low?
Nobody.
Who was stopping from Kareem with a jump hook, dunk,
but
back-end layup. Shaq had a tool bag that was underrated.
But if you need a three at the end of the game, you're not calling Shaq. You can call either one of those other two niggas. You're not getting Shaq. Hey, Shaq. Shaq, we need you on top of the team. No one's going to say that.
So are we thinking about this like, for lack of a better example, like a NFL combine versus like an actual game?
I mean, sort of. We're thinking about this like NBA Jam, and if on NBA Jam, everybody knows Chris Mullin and Tim Hardaway was out here killing these.
Actually, you know what? I concur because I used to use them.
I know you did. That's what I said. It's Scotty and Mike, man. It's Scotty and Mike because Pippen was an apex predator on defense. And
Yes, he
Michael
was.
Jordan is Michael Jordan. It's Scotty.
Yeah,
and
that's
Mike.
why I said
that's what they do.
offensively, they're the best duo ever.
They're just
If you're talking about
ridiculous.
all around, it's Mike and Scotty easily.
Yeah, it's Scotty and Mike, man.
Yeah.
That team's crazy. That was a crazy duo, man. You put those guys on NBA Jam, it's crazy, man.
Yeah, if there was a time portal that you can transport players from their prime, I would love to see Scotty and Mike in either the first or second run with the Bulls, preferably the second run because they had Rodman, versus the Shaq and Kobe Lakers during their three-peat. Or I'll take KD and Kyrie and put them against anybody. And I'll do it with the current rules, the current offensive rules.
Hey, look. So what you're saying is
Jordan would clamp.
You want to see Shaq and Kobe lose to because that's what's gonna happen.
But Jordan and Pip, I have no doubt about it. Yeah.
You're not beating those guys.
I mean, Luke Longley alone. I mean, what?
I know this because Shaq and Kobe lost to Chauncey Billups in the Detroit 5. Like they lost to them. There's no way they're beating the Chicago Bulls in their prime.
Brian Williams.
Not on their best.
Yo, he's killing me with this.
I could play this game all day.
Okay. I love it.
There's some wizards out there.
Yeah.
Oh,
Kwame Brown.
Chris Webber and Juwan Howard. I'm telling you right now.
Gilbert Arenas.
I'm picking the Wizards.
Gilbert Arenas and Tracy Murray.
Shoot it up.
Yo, Tracy Murray. Don't nobody know who the hell. Michael Adams and Dikembe Mutombo.
Tracy used to get loose on the three. I don't know what happened to him. What happened to him after he left the Wizards?
Who?
Talking about Tracy. Talking about the light skin
Tracy
dude.
Murray, right? You talking about Tracy Murray?
Yeah, he used to crack the threes.
I don't know.
He said 3 pointers.
Mm-hmm.
Legs. Tim Legler. I mean, wow.
Hey, Legs was all right though before that.
No, he was very good.
He was.
Yeah.
He was. He played his role.
But
listen, speaking of kids,
not
go ahead, Greg.
Talk about the Nets' problem is Kyrie Irving. They need to trade his ass. They need to get him up out of there.
Come on, man.
I told you I would have traded him for Damian Lillard this year, straight up, immediately if I could.
Why you doing?
And it doesn't even matter. You know why? Because neither one of them played this year. Only one of them had a real legit reason. So it would have been the same results. But next year, hey.
I believe if Dame gets with somebody who can lead, he'll get a chip easily.
Who Dame can lead.
Yeah.
He's just
but
not in a good situation.
He needs somebody who can get out there with him.
Durant, who can actually ball in the clutch. Well, until this last series, of course. Because McCullough's no good. I mean, I like McCullough when the game's on the line like that. He falters in series at times.
You're gonna regret it. You're gonna regret saying that. You're gonna regret saying that.
Did you see what he did this year?
McCollum stay hitting game-winning shots, dog. I'm sorry. He stay hitting those. He's shifty, get at the elbow, stop operating. It's a wrap, dog. He got so much in his bag. I don't know what to do with this guy. There's no reason this guy should be in the league. He's got so much in his bag, huh?
McCullough has a good. He'll have one great game in the series.
Dog,
I've never seen him have like multiple go to the next round and keep this thing going series like that.
Right.
What? Yo, hey man, McCullum. Listen, man, McCullum has got an array of moves. He's like Kevin McHale operating at the time. Have you ever watched McCullum? Has this guy ever watched McCullum? I mean, come on, man.
No one's saying McCullum's a bum. I'm saying he's not Kevin Durant. That's what I'm saying.
I didn't know. Okay, you know what? I apologize. I thought that you were going. So you was like, well, I'm with Dame, and McCullum. And I was like, well, I'm not gonna sit there and let this happen. I
said McCullum's great, but he's not Kevin Durant. Now, if you put Dame Lillard with the way he plays with Kevin Durant, then that's a real problem.
It could be. Listen, we have a lot of theories here, and I think this is a great topic. Probably continue this another time.
Kyrie, and they need to trade Ben Simmons. You don't see him trying to trade Ben Simmons for waffle mix.
You don't see him trying to. You don't see him trying to transition topics.
I'm sorry.
Yo, this is hilarious. But the one theory that stands true is my Rich Paul theory. So the real problem I feel like the league and a lot of other agents have had with Rich Paul is that they conspire and a lot of times work with the organization to work out the best deal for them, right? Because they're going to get their commission on the back end based on that deal. When you have Rich Paul, he works out deals and avenues for all of his clients to work out, including Ben Simmons, whatever is going to be best for them as a player in both their professional and their personal life so that they are set up for success down the road. What do you think about a lot of the, I don't want to say hate, but a lot of the
it's hate.
interest in, let's go there then. Let's drop the bomb. A lot of the hate that Rich Paul has faced, right, is since coming into the league and kind of taking over as an agent. They questioned his skills about that. They talked about him not having a degree and trying to, the powers to be really came together, like Volt trying to kind of stop him from being as successful as he is. And somehow that still wasn't enough, right? He's partnered up with what I consider to still be the best player in the league and probably in the world in terms of athlete as a whole and what they've done for the game, LeBron James. And he's made sure that now he's a kingmaker, right? So people don't like that. What are your thoughts on the Rich Paul situation and kind of how he's player first as opposed to organization first? And this thing does have legs because, as Greg was alluding to here early on, I remember we were on or off camera, the Lakers organization is now blaming Rich Paul and Clutch Sports for their issue. Yeah, exactly. Big time. What are your thoughts about that?
I don't think Rich Paul carries a gun with him to these meetings, right? I mean, how is it his fault that they did it? They had pulled the trigger. Yeah. Well, I guess I'm already talking. I'll just keep going.
Love it. There it is.
I was about to jump in. I was just going to say, as an agent, he's trying to do what's best for his clients. And whether that helps the organization or not is different. I mean, people are done giving these organizations discounts because the people who own these franchises are billionaires already. And honestly, they're just going to make more money. And it's not like you can break into any of these clubs. These clubs are closed off. They're handing that joint down to their kids. And maybe if their kids are so disinterested in it, they might sell it to someone else. But I mean, this stuff is a wrap in terms of the economic structure of it. In terms of the only thing he's trying to do is get the players more money. The organizations are not going to suffer, except maybe in the win-loss column. But when you talk about revenue and stuff like that, they're not going to suffer. I mean, when the game was sold and told when the Los Angeles Clippers, a franchise which was considered maybe one of the worst franchises, if not the worst franchise in American sports, along with probably the Bengals at that time. Yeah. I mean, they sold for billions.
30 billion.
No, billions. The team sold for billions of dollars.
I know, 30 billion.
Yeah, was it 30 billion? I didn't think it was 30 billion. I don't think it's 30 billion. I thought it was 4 billion. Anyway, the point is that
Joe, never mind. My fault. You're right. Yeah, he bought it for 30 million.
Yeah, that's it. That sounds more accurate. That sounds more accurate. But no, you good. But what I'm saying, and people were like, "Oh, it's the location, it's this, it's that." But I mean, you could sell the Indiana Pacers to somebody, and they're gonna rake in at least $4 billion as well. So it's from an economic standpoint, it's not as if these people can't afford it. He's just doing what's best for his team, and people don't like when you. I think it's more so the people who have been the legacy agents and stuff like that are more bothered by this than anything else. And they, of course, have an in with the team. But it was interesting. Because, I saw something that Master P said where he was like, you're going to trust these people who you met 6 months ago to handle your finances and all this stuff. If somebody who was a hanger on with you asked you to give them $500,000, you look at them like they were crazy, and yet you just hand your stuff over to these. And when he said it like that, I was like, that's an interesting perspective. I never thought of it that way. Wow, what a musical.
But he's right, though. I mean, look at Drew Rosenhaus, right? He's been accused by numerous NFL players, right, of allegedly ripping them off of money. These lawsuits have raged on for years at some point. Where there's smoke, there's fire. Other NFL players, NBA players have been ripped off by numerous agents. These agents continue to have relationships with the organization. Athlete loses money. Somehow money funnels his way back to the organization. You can follow the trail there. I feel like there's a massive issue when it's Rich Paul that's out there making it happen and actually taking care of his clients. You're talking about Lee, allegedly. Again, we assume he has their best interests. I know, what was the kid's name out of Dallas? He had issues with. He used to be with the New Orleans at one point. Nerlens Noel. So.
Oh yes,
right?
yes, Nerlens Noel. Yeah.
So
he didn't sign that contract thinking that he would get more money in free agency, and he blamed Rich Paul for it when he shouldn't have, because he.
It was on him.
Yeah, it was on him. Yeah.
So like, I just feel like a lot of times the organization, it's the same thing when I talked about at the top of our cast here with name, image, likeness, right? If Aj is a coach, right, and he coaches the Clemson Tigers, right, and he's like, hey, guess what? Smallwood is going to go ahead and transfer, right? Yeah, no problem. You're not getting money off of that. Now, you as a coach go out there, you just signed a $20 million deal. University of Michigan offers you way more money. You can go do that. It's no issue. You left all the recruits there who are going to play for you, And when the players have the action, right, and they have the leverage, rather, is what I'm trying to say, it seems to be a problem with that. And I think that that's the Rich Paul issue, is that the power is back in the hand of those who really wield it.
Yeah.
Because now they're recognizing their power. He's getting kids internships fresh out of college, paid, right? So not unpaid. So they're able to feed themselves. Some of them come from different situations. They're taking care of their families before they step foot in the league. So then they have true control over, hey, if you're like Ben Simmons, do you want to play basketball or do you not? If there is an issue, he's at least taken care of, right? And he can pivot into something else. So that's my thoughts on that.
It ain't no fun if the rabbit got the gun.
Yeah.
No.
What's happening here is they're scared because LeBron James has showed everybody that loyalty to a franchise, a team, or an organization don't mean shit.
Okay.
It don't mean nothing. Okay? Because they're not going to be loyal to you. And you can see ever since LeBron James came into the league, he has been about him and himself alone. When he's on a team, he's all in. You're going to get the chip. But when it comes to everything else, it is about him and his legacy and his money and his family. And Rich Paul has the same plan laid out for all these other players. So what's basically taking place is once you know your worth as an individual, sky's the limit for you. Easily. I mean, you can go, because if someone else is trying to pay for you, ain't trying to pay you or give you what you want, you can easily go next door and go somewhere else. You're not a slave. You ain't got to stay there. And what they used to get all these players on before is you got to win it for us. We drafted you here. We gave you the job. You think Michael Jordan, if he had these kind of options back then, would have really allowed himself to get underpaid, knowing what he was worth to the city of Chicago?
No, yeah, I think he would.
You think he would have allowed that now? No, not after what LeBron did, and he realizes I'm this great. You think Scottie Pippen is signing that deal with the Chicago Bulls back then that ruined him?
Yeah, that's not right.
That ruined him. That caused a beef for 40 years with the industry? No, that's not happening. None of this is happening. These players have realized that they are the product. They're the reason people are coming. Oh, people may love the team, but they love their players way more than teams these days. So people will follow that player, to wherever it goes. And if they won't follow him, it doesn't matter, because if they're that caliber of player, wherever they go, the fans are going to show up. And that organization is going to improve. So basically, Rich Paul and LeBron James have showed these people it's a real know your worth situation.
Yep.
Because there's a finite amount of time that you have to play as a professional athlete, unless you're Tom Brady or LeBron James. There's a finite amount of time that you have. It's not that many years. As I said, they've been duping people with this whole loyalty horse shit for years. Kevin Garnett should have at least 3 titles under his belt. He should have had 3 titles under his belt, but he stayed loyal to that shitty organization in Minnesota.
Hey, watch yourself, man. Watch out. Calm down, man.
Stay loyal to those bums.
Yo, relax, man. Calm down.
When he could have left years ago, made more money, been in a better situation, and been more happy.
Right.
And like I said, and more championships, like way more championships.
Hey,
he would have come out with at least.
Calm down, man.
I'm gonna go a different direction. So I wish that I knew the background of most of the agents, but I don't. I don't know. They started off as like interns for some NBA team or NFL team, or I don't know how they start out usually. But all of us are familiar with the story of Rich Paul, right? Met LeBron when he was 17, and the rest is history. But I'll say this, right? There's a difference between having a public defender who is beholden to his bosses and whatever else within his, maybe not law firm, but the DA's office or whatever, and having an independent lawyer, right? When they get in there, they're doing everything for you. They don't care about taking off judges. They don't care about taking off the other legal team. They don't care about that. They are there because you are their client, and they are there to do the best job that they possibly can for you, to get you justice or to get you exoneration or whatever. And I see Rich Paul, his philosophy seems to me like that. He's like, I'm your lawyer. I'm your advocate. Mm-hmm. My job is to do the best that I can for you. If these other people get upset, then they just get upset. I mean, that's not my concern, because my concern is for you, because you're my client.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Go ahead. No,
I was just going to jump in real quick and say, and that's funny that you would say it that way, because then he takes all the bullets usually for his client's bad pay, as opposed to them focusing on the Lakers and all the deals that they made in terms of like the players that may have underachieved. They're like, well, Rich Paul is sitting here bringing us all these players, as opposed to mentioning them by name. They're mentioning Rich Paul, so the players aren't even taking the heat.
Yeah.
Well, what they are taking is better home checks. Take home more money.
Well, I'm sure Rich Paul's salary is comprised of the player, like a percentage of the player's salaries that he represents. I don't know if all the agents' stuff are set up that way. Maybe they get some kind of back from the teams. I don't know how that works, but if they're upset with him, it's because he's doing something that maybe they wish they could do, right? Maybe they wish they could carry it the way that he does, but they can't. He's doing what he was put here to do. He's doing it well. And anytime you're at the top of your game and you're doing well, there's going to be people that don't like it, and they're going to talk trash about you and whatever else. But I say, Rich, hey, keep doing what you're doing, man.
Absolutely.
If you're any player who is worth who's a top caliber player, you better sign with them ASAP. They're gonna get you paid. They're gonna leave you the power to maneuver and everything else. Because at the end of the day, what's the worst that can happen? Some people are upset with you for a couple of years. Then you get to ride off into the sunset with your championship with multiple teams and all the money you can count. Instead of being like, oh, well, I stayed in Utah for 17 years. I mean, I didn't win shit. And, I paid for money, but I was loyal. I was loyal to the team. Yeah, they pat me down when I come in to watch games. Yeah, I can't. Yeah.
No, man.
Well, I'm sorry.
Listen. Rich Paul said something that I thought was interesting. He said in one of his GQ interviews that he doesn't know anybody that's been consistently successful without failure, right? And so I think a lot of times, a lot of these other agents are afraid of the failure that it takes to come and pick up, because everybody sees LeBron James. They don't see a lot of the other clients that Rich Paul has that you've never heard of until Rich Paul helps make them a household name, right? And they become successful. I think that T hit on the biggest point, that he's doing something maybe they wish they could do. And I think that one thing is relate to a lot of those players, being that I want to say the league is like 78-80% Black players, right? A lot of the agents that are representing these players and lawyers, they look nothing like these players, Rich Paul has a different understanding and takes the time to connect with them on a very personal level, which I think turns out to be all of the difference in them having a successful relationship together, being aligned and being able to move forward successfully and navigating the system. Do you come up short on occasion? Of course, you left a little money on the table, but gain something else in the process. Business is a give and take. There's a lot of ebbs and flows. And I say, you know what? Salute to Rich Paul. I wish him and the whole Clutch group much success as they continue on. And for me, I'm always more power to the player. We wish the organization great success. But then the great Michael Jeffrey Jordan said to your jersey over there, organizations don't win championships. So as we wrap up today's episode, I want to go around the quick rapid fire. Everybody's favorite player that you think is an elite scammer. Go. Anybody.
An elite scammer?
Think about it. That's right. Your favorite player that you think is like, you know what, they're great, but they scam. Could be playoff time. They could be a player who just comes up short all the time that doesn't show up, like a Kyrie Irving, anything like that. Any sport.
That have to be it for me, Kyrie Irving, because all the other guys that I love go hard. Kyrie Irving's the only guy that I'm like, that guy's dope. What is he doing? So yeah, Kyrie Irving.
I'll say as of this moment, although I don't think he's a scammer in terms of him doing stuff on purpose, but he's a scammer in terms of us just not scamming us from being deprived from his talents is Zion Williamson. I just want to see more. I just want to see more Zion Williamson. That's all. It's nothing he can do.
Yeah, you don't see that nigga in a Knicks uniform. That's what you don't see.
Relax, man.
He's not sticking around.
The only other place he could possibly go. There's only one other place he could possibly go besides the Pelicans, and I mean.
Let me see what y'all think about this one. I might get some heat for this one. I'm going Aaron Rodgers.
Fair enough. Good call.
I'm rolling with you on that.
Good call.
Best.
I don't know if he's a scammer. He's a bullshitter. I don't know if he's a scammer.
He's a scammer, all right. We talk for another 45 minutes about that. Elite scammer, Aaron Rodgers, absolutely. I've never seen nobody milk one Super Bowl. They act like he's won like 4 or 5. You know, he's not Brady.
Fair enough.
He's not Montana.
DJ, don't play. That nigga's a scammer.
That's it.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, yo.
Ladies and gents, that's our show for today. Once again, I'd like to thank the Goodman brothers for joining us here for TakeOff Sports Talk. We'll look forward to seeing you again for episode 3, coming sooner than you think. And listen, if you're out there hating on Rich Paul, if you're hating on this show, if you wouldn't watch this show if it was playing through the back of your glasses, I got 2 things to say to you. Go get a job. We'll see you soon. Peace.